You do not want one of these engines. No, nobody wants an engine that's gonna leak oil, leak antifreeze, brake timing chains, catastrophically fail, or cost you tens of thousands of dollars to repair, or even worse, watch your vehicle burn roadside because the engine ignited due to bad rod bearings. Nobody needs that, nobody wants that. I'm gonna share a list of 5 ultra reliable engines and the vehicles you'll find them in, just so you can go out there armed to make the right choice on your next vehicle purchase. Let's get into it now. And here we have a car that literally has 300,000 miles on it. How did we get there? Well, it wasn't by neglecting your servicing, that's for sure, but these cars are ultra reliable because the engine under the hood of these vehicles. What is it? But car manufacturers like Honda right here have always been known for reputable drivetrains and reliable motoring. Here we also have great alloy wheels and mirrors, basic handles so things are cheap to fix, simple taillights, easy to access through the trunk, easy to change parts. That's the key with these vehicles. Easy to maintain, low cost for parts, makes them easy to service, and ultimately leads to longer life. But it's not just the low cost in servicing. Honda has a reputation of reliability because they take pride in the durability and long-lasting engines and drivetrains that they've always created. But what kind of engine under the hood here has created such a long-living 300,000 miles out of this vehicle? Well, let's look. This engine is Honda's famous R18Z4. That's right, it's a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder engine, inline. It has a massive 10.6 to 1 compression ratio, static, in other words, it doesn't change, and it produces 143 horsepower and approximately 130 pound-feet of torque. But Honda creates vehicles that are easy to service, as I mentioned already, with things like easy access batteries, or you can at least get a tender on there to keep the charge up. Low battery voltage sometimes creates problems. You can get easy access to the airbox to make sure clean air goes into the engine regularly. Brake fluid flushes are simple. Fuses are easy to access. This great engine also has a timing chain instead of the old timing belts, so that adds to its overall longevity and will likely not break. We have easy access to spark plugs and ignition coils, as well as fuel injectors, and even your oxygen sensor is quite easy to access. We have this valve, which is an EGR valve. It's both easy to access, easy to service and clean, and as well, if you wanted to replace it, it's quite cheap. But everything is simple on here. Everything is designed to last. These vehicles are truly a blessing in disguise and will run for many, many hundreds of thousands of miles. Just do basic oil services. That's all that's been done here. Keep fresh fluids in there, the proper grade of oil, and as well as do regular coolant flushes, and this engine will literally last forever. And that's why you see so many of these 10-year-old Hondas on the road today, because they just won't stop. They keep running and running and running and running and running and running. Life's too short to drive boring cars. Reliable engines don't come by accident. Some manufacturers take it very, very seriously, and that's why they're as reliable as they are, and others are just too innovative. A reliable engine is not just one that never breaks down, it's one that even with low cost of maintenance, it just continues to run easily. You don't feel yourself like you're underwater. For example, a lot of modern day BMWs are reliable for the first 3 or 4 years, but after 6 or 7, way too many things start to happen and it becomes unreliable. We look under an engine compartment like this, and this is a modern day Kia, and what we're looking at here is a Forte. Some things that BMW just doesn't do right. This, for example, our cooling system. You'll notice a Kia is just like Toyota and Honda in the sense that they have these all-tension springs on a cheap hose. You basically have a hose that might cost you $25 and a clamp, and that can be reinstalled for pennies on the dollar. BMW doesn't have that. They have a keyed plastic end that expands, it contracts, shrinks, splits, and leaks. And the problem is that hose for BMW then ends up actually costing you $250. So they put complicated parts that break easily, don't last a long time, and then start to let you down roadside. Of course, when the vehicle starts to lose coolant on the ground, you got to pull over because the engine's starting to overheat. Other things that make a vehicle reliable: lacking in turbos. A vehicle like this is naturally aspirated. No turbocharging, no supercharging. While that has a reduced power output, if reliability is your concern, then turbocharging is something you want to avoid. Car manufacturers like Porsche managed to find that nice balance between performance, reliability, and efficiency, but most brands find it difficult to blend in and put the extra performance with supercharging or turbocharging and still maintain reliability, because turbocharging creates a lot of heat. And when you put a lot of heat under the engine compartment here, it starts to take a toll. Plastic valve covers actually wind up with gasket leaks. You can have issues. Parts like this can split. You have a lot of plastic under the hood in modern day vehicles, and they can start to break, split, leak. And even if it's just hoses or wiring harnesses, those parts can break too. Even fittings like this get fragile. You activate this and then that snaps or breaks. That's all a result of too much heat under the engine compartment, and turbocharging can contribute to that. So keep it simple, naturally aspirated, no turbos, proper cooling system parts like this with mechanical water pumps rather than electric water pumps. And car manufacturers like Toyota don't continually change and innovate. They have a good engine that works, they keep running it for years and years and years, and they put it in multiple different models. And even if there is a little nuance or a little problem, they basically change it right away, toot sweet, and carry on with that engine for the next 5 or 10 years. They don't fix what's not broken. And the next great engine is what's buried under the hood of this beautiful car. Love that amazing color of blue. Got these beautiful wheels. Of course, what is that? It's clearly a Lexus. Firstly, look at that beautiful style and that crease right there. Beautiful little handles, and you do get a sunroof on top there too. The interior is really well situated. Of course, beautiful high bolstered seats. Some of the nicest quality interiors anywhere. Beautiful LC500 knockoffs, and of course you have amazing looking wheels all the way around. Lots of high gloss black with a big mouth opening, but this one here clearly more aggressive. If you look at the front splitter, this car definitely has more of a performance attitude. This is the F Sport, and just an overall great lines all the way down. You'll notice it has this big carbon fiber tail on there and these square tail lights. Gorgeous vehicle. And we're looking at the IS500 with an amazing rear splitter, and you'll notice it has quad tips for this particular car. Why? What's in that IS500 that's so special? Well, it's a V8 engine and it's Lexus, so you know it's going to be durable. But that engine is really hot. 472 horsepower, V8. There's lots of trick goodies under the hood too. That engine has titanium intake valves, high flow, high lift camshafts. It has its own variable valve timing system and is literally as sport tuned as you can get in a naturally aspirated engine. It's also the similar engine that they have tuned in the LC500, which is their top end 6-figure car. But it's not just about how much it costs. It performs very, very well, and it sounds amazing, and even better, it's reliable. The engine under there is called the 2UR GSE. 5 liters displacement, naturally aspirated, no turbos, and it goes like the dickens. Literally one of the most reliable and highest performing engines on the market today. And the engine under this hood is also one that will likely run virtually forever. It's almost unkillable, unstoppable, because this particular SUV is made by Lexus. This is a workhorse, full of all of the luxury amenities, beautiful triple beam headlights. Of course, you have great styling detail all over the front, fake vents with little LEDs. Of course, right there, gunmetal gray wheels. This beautiful LC500 expanded on type of mirror, and you have this nice two-tone handles to access into this vehicle. You have these gorgeous rear tail lights. Almost looks a little aftermarket because that silver display there. And of course, it's beefy, vertical, lots of room and capacity in there to haul all of your little projects around. Step access here to allow people to move on in there and get access if you got to unload larger items. Beautiful luggage rack, which is great for hauling large projects. The interior is beautiful. Lots of two-tone trim, leather throughout, double stitching, and all kinds of contrast available. We do have sensors everywhere. This vehicle's chocked with all kinds of technologies and sensors, but you'll notice there's a substantial ride height because this is built on a steel frame, essentially a true off-road vehicle and made to blast through the desert. We're talking about the GX460 by Lexus right there. It's the engine that really matters here the most because it will last forever. What we have there is the 1UR FE, and it's a V8, and it's a 4.6 liter, and it doesn't make a ton of power, but it's 300 horsepower, naturally aspirated, so it doesn't work very hard. It's made it up to a 6-speed automatic in Canada and US, and it's literally built for utilitarian purposes, but you can have your cake and eat it too with all the luxury. This engine was revised. They actually do have variable valve timing, but what they don't have is direct injected. That was turfed years ago, and now you actually have a different type of injection, much more durable and reliable, so you're not dealing with carbon buildup. Just remember, Lexus is not about flash. They're not about the biggest horsepower numbers, but they are in fact about building vehicles that are made to run 300, 400, 500,000 miles, and that's what you get right there. And here we found another one of the most reliable engines on the market today, and one of the cars you'll find it in, and what we're looking at here is an absolute gorgeous vehicle. It's proof, in fact, that you don't necessarily have to sacrifice style and looks for the name of efficiency and reliability. And what we're looking at here is from one of the most reliable brands on the planet, and that is, it's a Toyota. And we're talking about a Camry right here. Sure, you have these amazing taillights. Of course, you have these beautiful bottom splitters here. It looks amazing, and a set of dual exhaust tips, vents, and a mirror with a great little LED light. How about these beautiful laser cut wheels? Gorgeous headlights, and they have some of the luxury amenities too, with sunroof. It also comes with heated steering wheel and heated seats. Fully luxury amenities and reliability with that engine under the hood. And what is that? It's that beautiful little 4-cylinder engine that makes about 200 horsepower from 2.5 liters of naturally aspirated fury right there. Well, the engine we're looking at here is the 825A FKS, 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that's 13-to-1 compression ratio and has massive levels of overall efficiency. Very practical, very reliable, as well as relatively economical for maintenance. And how, in fact, is Toyota able to make such a reliable vehicle over and over and over again? Well, let's take a quick look and I'll explain why some of those factors are. I mean, we have easy maintenance. Battery changes are easy. Air box, you can change your air filter very easily, so you always have fresh air. Air filters, fuel filters, everything's very accessible. Get access there quite easily. You can check your oil easily. A lot of modern day cars now give that dipstick up for a digital readout on the dash. This makes it easy for regular checkups. You also look down here, your cooling system is full of these beautiful rubber lines that are simple but elegant and effective. You have those all tension clamps right there that keep things tight, as well as keeps the coolant in the lines instead of leaking all over the place like many BMWs do after a few short years, because of those plastic ends that are keyed, and they look luxurious, but they break and split and leak like a sieve. But Toyota is a big believer in don't fix what's not broken. They keep engines in their current design for many years, over and over in many different models. If there's a problem, they fix it very, very quickly. After an owner takes possession of their car, if there's a problem, chronic, they ask the question. If there's an issue, they send that back to the factory and make the concession and adjustment in real time, so they don't continually repeat the problem. Toyota is also a big believer in keep it simple. Yes, 200 horsepower makes the car fresh and feisty. It's not going to win a ton of drag races, but it's peppy enough for day-to-day use. It's ultra reliable, maintains a 13-to-1 compression ratio, which means it's static. It doesn't change. When compression ratios of the internal combustion engine do not change, that means they're naturally aspirated. In other words, you'll see there's no turbocharger under the hood of this engine. It's simple. Air and fuel in, exhaust out. No turbos to cause extra complexity, extra heat, extra wear and tear, extra breakdowns, and extra costs and services and maintenance. So a lot of the Toyota cars come without turbocharging, and that's all for the sake of efficiency and reliability. And that's why this engine here under the hood is literally one of the most reliable. How does it sound? Well, let's take a listen. These engines have a very slight little upper end rattle, which they always do. They're not the smoothest, silkiest engine, but that's okay because they are in fact reliable. Close the hood, you barely hear it. But other than that slight little top end rattling noise you hear there, that's simply a little bit of drivetrain noise. That's normal, that's typical. And all for the sake of dependability. This is the engine you want if you want to try to make 300,000 miles and beyond. That's your winner right there. And here's number 5 on our list. It's an honorable mention because even for this brand, BMW, this engine that's under that hood is actually relatively reliable. Let's take a quick look around and then I'll talk about what that engine is. Beautiful angel eye headlights. Of course, we have the kidney grills. That's a BMW style. This is vintage before they went to the newer generation of ugly grills. Got this nice crease, gorgeous. This is a Grand Coupe, and it has these beautiful, well-made handles with single access in. You've got a big sunroof there, and the interior is gorgeous. This one here is an automatic 8-speed ZF auto, and this is bulletproof, shifts lightning fast, almost like a dual clutch, and is just luxurious. You'll notice it has amazing wheels and an overall stance that just looks sporty. So what are we talking about here? So this modern day inline 6-cylinder engine has gone leagues better than any engine BMW's used before. This is actually an engine that now has heat encapsulation, so you don't have the highs and lows. Temperatures stay consistent, and it's those ultimate swings that cause a lot of plastics to split. So the heat encapsulation is improved. They have better heads. They have the dual cooling system, of course, for both the turbo as well as some of the other cooling, the regular cooling components. It has much improvements. The crankcase is beefed up, so is the crankshaft, and this is actually a beefy car. So even for BMW, the engine under this hood that is actually very, very reliable and will last a lot longer than most of its predecessors is the wonderful straight six 3-liter turbo, 355 horsepower called the B58 engine. What is this car? This one's an X-Drive, so it's all-wheel drive, and it's a 440, meaning it has the B58 engine. So any modern-day BMW with that 40 series there means that it's running that B58 engine, which is the engine you want. I know you liked it right there. Check it out. That is part one of the best engines in the vehicles you'll find them in. Hope to see you next time. See you real soon. Bye-bye.